Okay, so tell us about kombucha. Actually,
Okay.
tell us how to spell it first, because
Okay.
that one got me.
It's spelled K-O-M. I'll show you too. K-O-M-B-U-C-H-A.
Cool.
And I think it comes from Japanese words for seaweed and tea. I'm pretty sure kombu is seaweed and cha is tea, but it's not that. It's not seaweed. It's a symbiotic community of bacteria and yeast that basically eat sugar and tea. And so what I do is I'll brew up a big batch of black tea with like 12 or so tea bags, usually rubber band them to the edge. The tea bags make it easier to get the tea out. I've done it like with loose tea before, and then you have to strain it and everything, but like tea bags. And about a cup of sugar for a gallon-sized jar. And you let that brew, you make the sugar dissolve and mix it up, and then when it cools down, you can put your culture in. And I like to use a cloth top so it can off-gas and breathe. These are bands around the edge to keep fruit flies out. They love this stuff, so you gotta keep them away. And then I usually keep these in a pretty warm place, kitchen cabinet is what I do. So they like it dark and relatively warm.
Warm.
And
Okay.
they'll slow down their process when they're cold. I actually find it harder to brew in the wintertime because my house is kind of cold. But
So I see white and brown pieces on top
Yep.
here. This is how you share it, right?
yep, this is just different layers of SCOBY. It looks different. I think this is an older piece, and this is relatively new growth.
Is the brown just as viable as
It's just
the
as viable.
white? Okay.
Just as viable. This is all one community of organisms, and they'll.
And if we didn't have great people like you around to share, where would somebody get this?
You can
to start
you can
from
buy
scratch?
them online, and then sometimes you can buy them at places like Whole Foods or Mom's will sell kombucha kits, or other small natural food stores. I've seen them for sale. I got this from a friend of mine. A lot of times that's how it works. Is people will just share it. But there are like SCOBY businesses that you can employ. So
Cool.
yeah.
Can you use other teas, say green tea or
You can
something
use green
like that?
tea. People do it with all kinds of varieties of black tea and white teas and things like that. I've tried yerba mate too as a base. I can't remember the exact reason why black tea is preferable, but there's something about the dark acidness of it that
Okay, so
makes
it is
good.
better with black tea.
I think so. I made this one with an oolong, and it was pretty mild. But I've made them in the past with like Earl Grey or English breakfast tea or Irish breakfast tea.
And is the sugar needed? Is that
Sugar's
what it's
needed.
actually feeding on?
It loves that combination of the tea and the sugar. So, and then it's
Yeah, I have my laptop too.
relatively not sugary because it's transmuting it somehow and it's eating the process. So it's outputting. I guess it's outputting its secretions, eating the sugar, and that's
Okay.
what you get the.
And what we see here in this container is actually at the bottom of the jar after you brew it, right?
Yep. Yep. This is just.
And what you drink is what's on the top.
Yep. And you'll end up with a product like I like to bottle it.
Okay.
You'll end up with a product that looks like that generally, depending on how dark your tea is, what kind of tea you're using. I like to let this brew for a couple weeks, usually 2 or 3 weeks, depending on like how warm it is. It'll go faster or slower. I use a funnel to get it in these bottles. I like these tops like this. You can get them at a brew store. This was actually reused from a professional kombucha company. And then sometimes I do herbal mixtures like lavender, rose hips, orange peel, ginger. Those are all things I've used successfully. People do fruit juice additives. I've found that adding anything that's sweet to the bottling process has made mine like explosively fizzy. So I've kind of backed off on that because I was losing like half a bottle with the really sweet ones, just opening it.
Yeah.
So, but I really like lavender and orange peel. Those are really good ones.
Cool. And after you've brewed it and after you've bottled it, do you refrigerate it or is it
You can refrigerate
how
it.
shelf stable?
It's pretty shelf stable. I kept these in my pantry for 4 weeks, bottles
Okay.
or so, and it didn't over ferment
Mm-hmm.
once it got to this stage, and it was fine. So it's pretty shelf stable, but you can throw it in your fridge and it's really nice cold.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, thank you very much for
Yeah,
the
thank
tour.
you.